done, everyone. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Ian Murray, the Shadow Scottish Secretary and the co-chair of the Scottish Labour General Election Campaign, and also the parliamentary candidate for Edinburgh South. And it's my great pleasure. It's my great pleasure to welcome you to Glasgow, where I'm informed it's always sunny. So if the Prime Minister's coming up here anytime soon, he needn't bring his umbrella. But as we stand here in the Glasgow East constituency, just a few miles from here, of course, is the constituency of Rutherglen and Hamilton West, where back in October we delivered a seismic result that sent shockwaves through the election map of Scotland and delivered Michael Shanks as the latest Scottish Labour MP. Now, that meant that as the sole Scottish Labour MP, sometimes lonely but always happy, we became a dynamic duo, and what I want to do over the next 6 weeks is to persuade the Scottish public that we want many, many more Scottish Labour MPs at the heart of their communities and at the heart of the next Labour government. And one of them, of course, being the wonderful candidate for Glasgow East, John Grady, who's here today. And good luck to John. And why do we need to do that? Because 14 years of abject failure, 14 years of chaos, 14 years of division, and we need to turn the page to create a UK Labour government. And let's not forget 17 years of failure from this SNP government as well. And all of those Scottish Labour MPs will be at the heart of the next UK Labour government, because that is the change that Scotland needs. And of course, as we stand here today, just a few weeks now from the general election, a general election that we've wanted for such a long time, we remember back to those days in Rutherglen, where one person said right the way through that campaign that we would win it and win it well. And in fact, she was so confident, she took quite a bit of cash off most of us when the result actually came through. So it gives me tremendous pleasure to introduce my co-chair of the Scottish General Election Campaign, our Scottish Deputy Leader and the MSP for Dumbarton, Jackie Baillie.
Thank you very much. At long last, because we've had months of delay, we've had 5 prime ministers, we've had 14 years of chaos. Do you know, the people are sick and tired of this government. People have been failed by this government, and they can't wait for the election to come. People that I meet on the doorsteps are crying out for change, crying out to be away from the incompetent, out-of-touch, scandal-hit government. And you know, I was describing the Tories there, but that description applies to the SNP as well. The SNP have poured fuel onto the fire of every single Tory chaos. The SNP always put party before country, and we've had enough of that. Scotland deserves so much better. So there is a real chance in the next 6 weeks to actually change all of that, to get rid of the Tories, to put the SNP on notice, and to give the people of Scotland hope. Hope because Labour will change the country. We will deliver New Deal for working people, GB Energy headquartered in Scotland, bringing down bills and creating jobs. We'll deliver a stronger economy, better public services. We'll deliver Scotland's voice at the very heart of government. Now, the SNP will tell you, send a message to Westminster. Well, I'm telling you, don't send a message, send a Labour government to Westminster. But it is now up to us to show people in Scotland that we can be the change that delivers hope for them across the country. Under the leadership of Keir Starmer and Anas Sarwar, we've demonstrated that we've changed the party. Now we can change the country. Work really hard, and let me introduce my good friend, Scottish Labour's leader, Anas Sarwar.
Thank you. Friends, the moment has finally arrived. Our country has been desperate for a general election, and now it's upon us. Scotland and the UK is desperate for change, crying out for change, and Labour is ready to deliver it. After 14 years of Tory chaos and failure, we finally have an opportunity. We finally have a chance to get rid of this rotten Tory government and deliver the change. This is not an opportunity we can afford to miss. And actually, Scotland can lead the way in helping to deliver that Labour government. Because in this election, every vote for Scottish Labour is a vote to get rid of the Tories, a vote to maximise Scotland's influence, and a vote to deliver the change Scotland needs. And I want to say directly to people who may not have voted Labour in the past, I can understand why you have been so desperate to run a million miles away from this rotten Tory government. And I can understand why you've looked for the escape route. But Keir and I have worked day and night to change our Labour Party so it's ready to serve you again. And over the next 6 weeks, with hard work, humility, and energy, we will seek to earn your trust and earn your support so we can change our country together. And let's be clear about why that change matters so much. What has 14 years of a Tory government given us? Incompetent leadership, putting their party before our country, destroying our public finances, ruining our public services, pitting community against community with culture war after culture war, chaotic, divided and dysfunctional in their party, and chaotic and divided in government. All for their own interests, nothing for the national interest. The perfect description of this Tory government, but now also the perfect description of this SNP government too. And that's why people in Scotland want change both at Westminster and at Holyrood. And in this election campaign, over the next 6 weeks, Keir and I are going to demonstrate what change means, why it matters, and what difference it will make to you and your family. We will demonstrate how we can bring honesty, integrity, and decency back into public life. We will show how economic stability can bring down your mortgage and reduce household bills. We will demonstrate how we can make work pay by delivering a new deal for working people, the most transformative change in workers' rights that will deliver a genuine living wage. We will realise the ambition and potential of Scotland's energy renewable potential by having GB Energy headquartered here in Scotland with a task of lowering bills and creating more jobs. And we will show how we can cut NHS waiting lists by cutting down the tax loopholes and putting more money into our NHS. And ultimately, over the next 6 weeks, we will demonstrate how we can maximise Scotland's influence. Not sending Scottish Labour MPs to Westminster to shout, to protest and come back with nothing, but sending Scottish Labour MPs to Westminster to sit round the table, help make the decisions and help deliver change for people here in Scotland. Friends, that is a future that we can build together. And over the next 6 weeks, let's go win that future together for the Scottish people. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the man that is leading that campaign for change across the UK. A man who understands the importance of public service. A man who understands the need to have a Prime Minister that will always put the country first. A man of decency and integrity that wants to pull our country together, not pull our communities apart. And a man who wants to be a Prime Minister for every part of our country and deliver for the people of Scotland. Friends, please welcome my friend, Keir Starmer.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you so much for that fantastic welcome. And as I look at this T-shirt here, I remember it's a better welcome than some of the welcomes that I've had. But it is fantastic to be here with you. Thank you, Anas, for your leadership, Jackie, for your leadership, Ian, for your leadership, the transformation here in Scotland. And thank you for your friendship and support as well. Because we are at that moment. The Prime Minister has finally got round to calling the election. Standing in the rain without an umbrella, telling us he's the man with the plan. But this is what Scotland needs. It's what Scotland has been waiting for. And whether you're a family that's been struggling with the cost of living for grindless month after month after month, whether you're a business that's been struggling against the odds for a very, very long time now, or serving your communities, this is for you. Because this is an election about change. And Scotland's voice is vital, absolutely vital. It needs to be a leading voice. Send a message. Send a message. That is the height of the SNP ambition, to send a message, a protest in Westminster. I don't want Scotland to send a message. I want Scotland to send a government, a Labour government. A Labour government that can stop the chaos and division, that can turn the page and rebuild Scotland and Britain. We need that change. The chaos and division has cost. 17 years here in Scotland, spinning round and round with nothing material delivered. 17 years under the SNP. 14 years in Westminster. Chaos and division, feeding chaos and division. And there's a cost, a human cost to that. Anas and I went to a food parcel farm just up the factory up the road, where they were giving out food parcels to people who didn't have enough money to feed themselves and their families. Scottish families, working people, people coming after work to pick up a food parcel because they couldn't afford to feed their family. They are paying a huge price for the failure here in Scotland and for the failure down in Westminster. And that afternoon, Anas, you'll remember this. There was a 7-year-old girl. This was etched on my head. I thought about it all the way home. 7-year-old girl, just a few minutes from here, actually, I think we were, handing out food parcels, hell of a personality. She was really sparkly, incredible. And at the end of the session there, handing out food parcels, I did a piece to camera with an auto cue. And I could see her out the corner of my eye watching me. She was absolutely fascinated with what I was doing with this auto cue. And so when I'd finished, I said to her, "Why don't you come? Why don't you have a go?" And her words will stay with me forever. She said, "I don't read me. I don't read me." I thought about those words I got the train back to London. I thought about those words all the way back home. I don't read. A 7-year-old girl. I thought about her, I thought about her future, and I thought about the cost that she is paying for the failure here under the SNP and the failure down in Westminster. She is paying that price. And they will not change. The SNP isn't going to change. The Tories aren't going to change. Only Labour can stop the chaos and turn the page. And here's the good news. You don't have to put up with it anymore. You can vote for change. Under our democracy, the vote now is with you to vote for change. And as Anas has said, here in Scotland with Anas and Jackie and Ian, we've changed the Labour Party. Working with me, we've together changed the Labour Party, put it back in the service of working people. What we now ask, humbly, is for the opportunity to change Scotland and to change Britain for the better and put them back in the service of working people. And I know there are voters here in Scotland who wanted in the past to get the Tories out, but felt that they couldn't vote for Labour because they didn't think that we would win. Well, we're a changed Labour Party, and we now have that opportunity to kick the Tories out, but you have to take that opportunity by voting Labour. Because there's no change without Scotland. There's no Labour without Scotland. Scotland is central to the mission of the next Labour government. And that mission isn't just to turn the page, to bring about the change we desperately need. It's to rebuild. To rebuild, you need a plan for your economy, to get it functioning, working for everyone, with jobs here in Scotland. Now, not far from here, a few miles away, you will know Whiteley's wind farm, up there on the hills. I've been there, an incredible place to go, with wind turbines, huge bits of manufacturing and engineering. It's quite awe-inspiring, hundreds of them, generating power for the future. When I went there with Anas, I asked a simple question of the CEO. I said, how many of these were built in Scotland? And the answer? None of them. Not one. They'd all been towed in past working people in Scotland and put together. That's the price of not making your economy the priority. And we're not prepared to pay that price under a Labour government. But you will never have a strong functioning economy if you don't treat your workforce properly, if you don't give people basic dignity and respect at work. And that's why our New Deal for working people will be the biggest act of levelling up for workers' rights in a generation. No more fire and rehire. No more zero-hours contracts. Make work pay. And as Anas has said, our other plan, Great British Energy, a publicly owned company investing in clean British power and based here in Scotland. jobs in Scotland, keeping prices down across the whole country. So there's a choice at this election, a choice between continuing with chaos and division and failure, or the choice of voting Labour and stopping the chaos and division that is doing so much harm, of turning the page and bringing the change that we need here in Scotland and across Britain, and rebuilding across Scotland and across Britain. That's the choice of the next election. If you want change, you have to vote for it. Thank you so much. See the sparkle of the star.
Yeah, exactly. You like the T-shirt? The best cheerer of them all.
Hello.
Look at Tom. Tom wants a look.
Oh, yeah.
Right at the top. Wow.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Brilliant. Well done. That was excellent. That was excellent. After you.
Right, I'm coming down. You have enough?
Done. I am so proud of you.
That's great. Hi, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Fantastic. How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, very well done. Excellent.
Good. It's so good to see so many people here. It's fantastic. Very good. Really good. This is it. We've been waiting for this. I know. We're ready for this.
Joni Reid's mammy.
We need to go.
I'm Joan's mum.
Are you? Right.
I've been waiting a long time too.
Yeah.
I was just recalling my first campaign was in Garskaden for Donald Dewar, first time around. Shows you how old I am.
Well, you know, this
We're
time
gonna
around,
do it
we've been
this
round the
time.
block many times since
Yeah.
then without getting it over the line.
Exactly.
And
We're
now
gonna do it this time.
we're ready.
And Keir's a candidate in Aberdeen South, so he's...
Okay, I'm just doing media. I'll come straight back.
Yeah, you'll be coming back. You'll just
Okay,
Steph.
all right, Steph. Cool. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Very good.
Nice to see you.
Yeah.
You okay?
Very good.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're in good shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised.
Well, that we were ready.
No, that he called it when he called it. Anyway,
I think you weren't alone.
you're going to do Carver. I think you're going to
Okay, yeah.
How are you?
How are you? Nice to see you again. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So we're just having a minor microphone problem.
And you're doing Paul
I'm going to do a
first.
couple of cool questions, and then I've
Then
asked
you're
just
doing
one,
your own.
one for us ourselves.
Yeah, okay.
So I think you're going to be taken along the line.
Yeah.
Once we got.
Happy?
Yeah. Do you want to go along the line first, given that we're having a microphone problem?
Okay, yeah. Are you ready, Beth? Because
I'm ready.
he's-
Are you ready? Are you ready
Oh, no.
for me?
Come on.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
That's all right, don't worry.
I'll be on the bus with you for
Oh, fantastic.
much of the campaign. Well, as much of it is on a bus.
Oh, right, yeah.
I think we'll
Well,
be
that's
on
great.
and off buses, won't we?
Yeah. Well, look, there's a lot of miles to do.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So we'll be on this microphone asking questions at this level. Yeah. Okay. Happy. Keir, you said there's no Labour without Scotland. There's certainly no Labour government without Scotland, is there? You've got to win here.
Yes, we've got to win here in Scotland. And we've worked very hard to change the Labour Party here in Scotland and across the UK to make sure that we put ourselves in the best chance. But yes, it's important. Numerically, it's important to form a government, but it's also important to me personally because if we're able to come and form a government, be privileged to serve, I want to be the Prime Minister for the whole of the United Kingdom. And so it's important to me to have strong representation in Scotland. So yes, of course, the numbers matter, but there's something deeper than that for me, which is to have those powerful voices for Scotland as part of a Labour government.
Sorry, there's a problem tonight. Can we just step to the right? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, we're good. Can you confirm that Jeremy Corbyn has been kicked out of the Labour Party, and are you glad to see the back of him?
But Jeremy Corbyn will make his own decisions. I think he's standing as an independent. That's his choice. We will have an excellent Labour candidate in Islington North, as we've got excellent Labour candidates across the country. And the choice at this election is absolutely clear. We've had 14 years of chaos and decline under this Tory government. We cannot have more than that. We need to turn the page and usher in a Labour government that will then rebuild the country. That is the choice in Islington North. It's the choice across the country. And I say to everybody, if you want change, and I think people desperately do, you have to vote for change, vote Labour.
But just to be clear, just one more Corbyn and then one more. Just to be clear, if you stand against a Labour candidate, that's a breach of the rules. You can't be a party member, right?
That's the rules.
And finally, just one for ITV News, if you would. Can you guarantee that as you wind down oil and gas production, there will be no net loss of jobs in Scotland?
Yes, it's very important that we make that guarantee, and that's why we're working so hard to ensure that as we transition, it's a transition that we need to do, that we ensure the jobs are in the places with the skills that we need now. I went to Aberdeen to look at carbon capture, to look at how we can use existing machinery and skills and jobs for the transition we need. But to be clear, we're not turning off the taps. Oil and gas will be with us for a very long time to come, but we need to manage that transition. And I want, through GB Energy, to ensure that we have more jobs here in Scotland in energy and sustainable jobs as we go forward.
Thanks very much.
You okay?
Yeah, good.
Are you going home at all then for the next...
One day soon.
No, but what, are you going to have like a day at home?
Oh, I don't know about that. We haven't got that far, but I am looking forward to seeing picking the kids again before too long. But
Well, this is it now, isn't it? We're in the race. Okay, are we ready? I don't know I'm only allowed to ask you one question.
Very good.
That's not going to work, is it? Anyway, I won't waste my time. Keir Starmer, you're here in Glasgow. You say Scotland is vital. And you say the SNP are a protest party that have taken Scots for granted. But 4 out of your 6 first steps are devolved. That's pretty lame, isn't it?
Well, I think it's
You're
important.
not talking to the Scots.
We are absolutely talking to the Scots, and Scotland is absolutely vital to a Labour government, not just numerically, although that's important, but also because if I'm privileged enough to come in to serve as the Prime Minister, I want to be the Prime Minister for the whole of the United Kingdom, and therefore powerful voices from Scotland matter. But so far as our first steps are concerned, the economy, of course, is hugely important here in Scotland, which is why Anas and I have been working so hard on it. The New Deal for working people, really important for jobs here in Scotland. So the work that we're doing in the pledges, what Anas has said about what he wants to do with waiting lists, these are common issues that we do together and matter hugely for Scotland.
You say that you need Scotland to win a Labour government, but that is not true. Tony Blair won a majority in England. In the southeast of England, there's 91 seats against 59 in Scotland. Is this a version of Project Fear? You are frightening Scots into saying if you don't vote Labour, you're going to get the Tories when they can still vote if they want for the SNP.
No, it's a recognition of the low base we started from in 2019. The project that we're building, which I want to be a project for all of Britain to take us forward, but also something which is really important to me personally, which is, of course, it is about the numbers to ensure that we do get a Labour government, but it's also who I am as a person. I want to be the Prime Minister for the whole of the United Kingdom, and that means representation, strong representation in Scotland. That isn't just about the numbers. That's about the sort of Britain, the sort of Scotland that I want to see under a future Labour government.
Okay,
Thank
final
you.
question. Can I just ask one more thing, Steph?
Thank you.
Hi.
News. Everyone okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Keir Starmer, you're so far ahead in the polls now. You don't really need Scotland to win, do you?
Scotland is vital, integral to forming the next Labour government, if we're privileged enough to come in to serve. There are 2 reasons for that. One is numerical. We started from a low base in 2019. But it's more important even than that to me personally, because if we are elected in and I am to be Prime Minister and to serve, I want that to be service for the whole of the United Kingdom, including service in Scotland. So it matters to me, over and above the numbers, that we have strong representation here in Scotland. That's why I want to see, if you like, the next generation of Scots on the Labour benches, the government benches in Westminster, serving with me everybody across Scotland.
But on those numbers, you don't need Scotland. So why shouldn't Scots, particularly those who support independence, still vote for the SNP?
Well, look, the SNP is as divided and chaotic as the Tories, but we need to change from this Tory government to a Labour government that can deliver change. Now, you can't deliver change. The SNP are simply saying, vote SNP to send a message. Sit on the opposition benches, making a protest and send a message. Don't change Scotland by sending a message and protesting. You change Scotland by sending strong Labour representation as part of a Labour government that can deliver from day one the change that Scotland, absolutely needs. But I also do say again, it matters to me to have that strong representation. I want those voices there as part of our government, making the choices and making the difference from Scotland. I send a message. A message isn't going to change anything. A government will change everything.
Final question. Are you hoping Diane Abbott will be reinstated ahead of the election? The investigation into her due to conclude within days.
Well, the National Executive Committee will make a decision on all the remaining candidates in due course. Thank you. Hi, James.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Right. Is that okay there? Okay.
Just a step back here.
You ready? Yeah? Okay. Thanks very much. Hello. So, you have suggested that the Conservatives have left the country in a terrible mess, and yet you want to stick to Tory spending plans. You too want limits on immigration to bring it down, and you want to stick to some Tory welfare plans. Aren't you just a Tory in disguise?
Well, you're absolutely right that the Tories have left or are leaving the country in an absolute mess. And what's unforgivable in politics for any political party is to leave your country worse than when you found it. A worse economy, worse public services, everybody feeling that they're not as well off as they were 14 years ago. That is unforgivable. Amongst the causes for that is that they lost control of the economy, particularly under Liz Truss. They lost control of the economy. And it's working people that pay the price for that through the cost of living crisis, through mortgages going through the roof. I'm not prepared to have a Labour government come in and cause that sort of pain and suffering for working people. Hence the stability that only Labour can now provide.
But the charge is you won't do anything significantly different on major policy areas, such as sticking to their spending plans, that you're a Tory in disguise.
Well, look, let's take what I'm announcing here or reiterating here in Scotland, which is Great British Energy. This is a publicly owned energy company investing in British renewables that will give us lower prices, on a permanent basis, owned by the taxpayer and making money for the taxpayer. The Tories are not putting anything like that ambition on the table. That's a game changer for energy. But look at what we're saying about waiting lists, bringing down 40,000 appointments each and every week.
That's a devolved issue.
Well, here in Scotland, it is a devolved thing. You heard what Anas said about that.
Nothing to do with the general election.
I think we will work together on that. It's very important that we do, because in Scotland people are waiting. Is it 1 in 6 people now on the waiting list here under the SNP? Last time I was here it was 1 in 7, so you can see the direction it's going in under the SNP. The New Deal for working people, hugely important here in Scotland for working people, because it's about dignity and respect at work, but it's also how we restore the economy here in Scotland and across the whole of the United Kingdom.
Thank you.
Staying here.
Oh, it's staying here.
Same camera. We're switching to BBC Scotland.
Okay.
All right. Hello, Sir Keir.
Hello.
Nice to see you again.
We're on 3 questions.
That's fine. That's great. You okay? Yeah, fine. Ready to go. Okay, Sir Keir, who is really in charge in Scotland? Is it you or Anas Sarwar? Who do the MPs really answer to?
Well, Anas is our leader here in Scotland, but happily, Anas and I are joined at the hip. We work together. We've been on a joint project to change the Labour Party across the United Kingdom. So Anas and I together have delivered a changed Labour Party. And